Today's objective is to be able to solve two-step and multi-step equations by isolating the variable. So we're going to just do a couple of more examples of equations that we already learned how to solve before in order to review for your independent practice that you have due today. So our first example is our regular side check equation or two-step equation where we have to figure out who our couple is and who's our side check in order to get the variable by itself. So when looking at this equation, the first thing I want to figure out is who's my couple. Because once I know who my couple is, then I can figure out, okay, who's on the same side of my couple, which will then be my side chick. So if I look at this equation, my couple, again, are the two things that are married to one another. They're together with each other. They're being multiplied. So in this case, negative 6x is my couple, because the negative 6 and the x are being multiplied with each other, hence they're married. And so now that I know that my couple is the negative 6x, well, now I want to figure out who's my side chick. And my side chick is always on the same side of the couple. So I know it can't be the 15, because 15 is on the opposite side of the equation. So the only other thing that's on the same side of my couple is this negative 9 over here. So that's going to be my side chick. So now that I know who my couple is and I know who my side chick is, now I can go ahead and start moving things around. And remember, we move things around by using our inverse operations. So the first thing we're going to get rid of, or we're going to move to the opposite side, is this negative 9, our side chick. Since it's a negative 9, then again we want to do the opposite operation of negative, or the opposite operation of minus, which is adding 9 on both sides. And when we do that, now we're going to see all the things that we have left over. So 15 plus 9 is going to give me a positive 24. I'm going to go ahead and bring down my equal sign. And then this negative 9 plus 9 is going to cancel each other out. And I'm going to go ahead and bring down the negative 6x that I have right here, because we can't forget to bring down our sign along with our coefficient. So now we have 24 is equal to negative 6x. So our couple is by itself now, but we want to separate this couple. We want to divorce this couple. Again, by doing the inverse operation of what's happening here. Well, I know that this negative 6 and x are being again multiplied by each other. This is negative 6 times x. So if I want to get rid of this negative 6, if I want to send this negative 6 to the opposite side, I'm going to do the inverse, or the opposite of negative 6 times x, which is division. So we're going to go ahead and divide by the number next to our variable, in this case, negative 6. Okay, when we do that, we're going to be left with 1x. This negative 6 divided by negative 6 gives me 1, so that's 1x is equal to, and when I do 24 divided by negative 6 on the opposite side, that's going to give me negative 4. And again, as I mentioned in yesterday's lesson, this is the same thing as 1x is equal to negative 4. So I know that I've solved this equation. But now I always want to check my work to make sure that I have the right answer. So my original equation was 15 equals negative 9 minus 6x. So I'm going to go ahead and replace my variable. And I have negative 9 minus 6 parentheses negative 4. And I want to check when I put this thing into the calculator, does that equal 15? And when I checked, it in fact does, which means that I've solved my equation correctly. So here's an example where we have two couples and we don't know which one's the couple that we're going to work with or which one's the side chick that we want to work with. So we want to rearrange this equation so that we're working with something where there's only one couple and one side chick. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing that I mentioned we wanted to do yesterday is we want to go ahead and take the smaller couple and bring it to the other side. So my two couples here are going to be 2x, because 2 times x, they're being multiplied, they're being married to each other. And my other couple here is the 4x, because that's 4 times x. Again, they're being multiplied, so the 4 and the x are married with each other. So we want to take our smaller x, in this case the 2x, because 2 is smaller than 4. And again, we want to bring it to the opposite side. So if this is a positive 2x, because there's an imaginary plus here that we don't see. Since this is a positive 2x, in order to bring it to the other side, I'm going to go ahead and subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 2x here. And what I already did on one side, I'm going to do it to the other. And again, I can only subtract a couple from a couple. I can't subtract 2x from 5 because 5 is not a couple. So I'm going to subtract it from this 4x over here. Okay? So now that I've moved this 2x to the opposite side, now that I've subtracted this 2x on both sides, let's see what we get left over. So 4 minus 2 gives me 2, so I'm left with 2x here. This positive 2x minus 2x cancel each other out. And again, whatever I didn't touch, I'm going to bring back down into my next step. So I didn't touch this positive 5, so I'm going to bring that down. I have my equal sign, and I didn't touch this negative 9, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that down as well. And I'm left with 2x plus 5 is equal to negative 9. So now I have one couple, and I have one side chick, which I can use to solve the equation. Here my couple is now 2x. Use my couple. I'm going to write it up here. And now my side chick here is this positive 5. So now I'm going to go ahead and start moving my side chick to the opposite side. Since it's a positive 5, I'm going to subtract 5 here. And what I do to one side, I must always do to the other. And so now I'm left with, again, I'm going to bring down this 2x. Positive 5 minus 5 cancel each other out. I bring down my equal sign. And on the side, I'm doing negative 5 minus 5. No extra minuses, no extra pluses. I'm putting exactly what I see on the paper. And that's going to give me negative 14. Now that I still have my couple, I want to divorce my couple. I want to separate them. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to divorce them by dividing by the number that's next to my variable. In this case, the 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by that positive 2 that I have here. And now this turns into a 1, and I get 1x is equal to negative 7. And we can't forget to check our answers. Okay, so we're going to check if the left-hand side gives us the same thing as the right-hand side. So on the left, we have 4x plus 5. So I'm going to replace the x with a negative 7 and see what it gives me. It in fact gives me negative 23. Now I'm going to check my right-hand side. I have positive 2x minus 9. So I'm going to do 2 times negative 7 minus 9, which also gives me negative 23. Since they're both giving me the same thing, I know that I've done my, that I've solved my equations correctly. Now I want to quickly show you that if I were to move, this was a great question that came up in our class, and somebody asked, well, what if I move the big one to the little one? Does that change anything about our equation? And I'm going to quickly show you just to prove to you guys that technically there's not really necessarily a right or wrong way of starting to solve this equation, but the way that we're showing you how to start it is just the way that minimizes making many errors. But I'll show you now that if I were to move the 4x instead to the other side, we will still get the same exact answer. So since I'm going to move the 4x to the opposite side, this is a positive 4x, so I'm going to subtract it. And again, I can only subtract couples from couples. So I'm going to subtract the 4x over here from this 2x on this side. I'm going to bring down this the 4x minus 4x is going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down my 5 and my equal sign. And if I put 2 minus 4 in my calculator, that's going to give me negative 2x. And I bring down this negative 9. And again, this is just another way of solving the equation to show you that it'll still get us to the same exact answer. And so now I see that my side chick is still negative 9, but I see that my couple is now negative 2. So I'm still going to move my side chick to the opposite side. So I'm going to add 9 on both sides. 5 plus 9 is going to give me positive 14. I'm going to bring down this negative 2x, and this negative 9 plus 9 is going to cancel each other out. And so my last step here is to divorce this negative 2 on the x by dividing by the negative 2. And I get 1x is equal to negative 7, which is the exact same thing that we got over here. So even though I did if I moved the bigger x on the second way that I did it, it still got us to the same answer. We just got more negative numbers, and sometimes when we have more negative numbers, it's a little easier to make simple mistakes. So that's why I ask you that when you're solving your equations, you always bring your little x or your smaller couple to the bigger one. However, it'll still get us to the same answers.